By relying on his gut instinct, he ended up going from 4-box ROAS to losing money on his webinar. Hi, and welcome to the Radical Webinar Podcast, the show that helps six-figure high-ticket coaches who hate marketing scale the business to 7 figures and beyond with webinars. In this episode, I'm going to talk about how you can make your webinars more successful in 2024 by avoiding 3 common marketing mistakes. Over the last 10 years, we've marketed thousands of events, and I'm seeing things are evolving. I remember back in 2014, all we needed to do was write an ad, put a semi-decent image on it, and we'll fill any event to the brim. Unfortunately, today we are in 2024, and things are just a little bit different. You gotta be smarter today if you want to make your webinars profitable. So instead of telling you what to do, I'm going to tell you 3 things to avoid to make your webinars successful in 2024. The first mistake I'd like you to avoid is relying on your gut instinct instead of solid data. Let me give you a quick example. Recently, a client of ours chose not to follow a system of testing and relying on data to run their ads. Instead, he chose to create a bunch of video ads because he had a good feeling that these ads would work. In the end, they did really badly. Not one of the 4 videos he created worked. I'll be the first to put up my hand to say that I should have made a stand and taken the responsibility to stop him from running those ads in this manner. In this instance, the client ended up losing money on his event. In fact, he went from 4 times ROAS at his previous event to losing money. So this was a good lesson for both me and him. What does this mean for you? I believe if you want your webinar to be more successful in 2024, you really need to collect and analyze data and base your marketing decisions on that data, rather than simply relying on what you feel might work. Gut instinct might have its place, but always test and back up your assumptions with data. The second mistake a lot of coaches do is that they do not provide enough value first. So let's take a step back to think about it and put yourself in the shoes of the prospect. So you're browsing on your favorite social media platform, maybe to get entertained or to find out what your friends have been up to. You're in a relaxed state. Next thing you know is that you see an ad pop up asking you to sign up for a training webinar where you are expected to spend at least an hour of your time and you have to sacrifice your lunch break. Worst part is, you've never heard of this person before. How would you feel? You probably think to yourself, is this guy for real? I've never heard of him before. Can I really believe him? So this is exactly how your prospects are likely to feel about you when they see your ad. And the question you might have right now is, how do I overcome this without spending 3 hours a day being a content machine? Well, the answer is to run 2 sets of ads. In one recent campaign, we ran 1 set of ads to completely co-audiences. These ads were purely focused on giving value with no call to action. And once we had built a large enough audience of people who had engaged with these first set of ads, we would run the second set of ads to remarket to these people. The second set of ads basically told them to sign up for the webinar. By using this 2-step approach, we managed to reduce the cost per lead for the webinar by around 40%, compared to using direct-to-call action ads that were targeting cold traffic. Are you saying if my cost per lead is $10, I will get leads for $6 if I use a 2-step approach like you just described? Can you guarantee that? Hey, Doubting Debbie, yes, that is exactly what our data is telling us so far for many of our clients. And I can't guarantee that other people will get the same results. But why not test this out for yourself? If you have any blog posts or videos, why not use them to target audiences? And then remarket them with ads that have a strong call to action. This will help the marketing for your webinars to be more successful in 2024. Now, the final thing to avoid doing in 2024 is to not have a well-planned out webinar funnel. See, the thing is, no matter how good your copywriting is or how awesome your videos are, the fact is, competition is going to further heat up in 2024. This means that the cost of attracting people to your webinar is going to become more expensive. So why not make full use of every single lead that your webinar ads generate? Why not do your best marketing to make sure they show up? And why not think of ways you can get them to make a purchasing decision after the webinar itself? At Radical Marketing, once prospects have signed up for a webinar, we have an indoctrination series of emails going out to people who have signed up. This is designed to build trust and rapport with the prospect. Then, closer to the actual webinar date and on the webinar day itself, We have a sequence of emails and SMSs to remind them to show up. And once the webinar is over, we have a sequence of emails and SMSs that run for between 14 and 30 days to get them to make a purchasing decision. By planning all these messaging sequences in advance, we maximize the value of every single webinar lead. So if you want to maximize the ROI on your webinars in 2024, I suggest you carefully plan out your webinar funnel in advance. We often get an extra 50% or more in sales after the webinar itself, thanks to having these communications in the webinar funnel that are pre-planned, and we achieve show-up rates of between 30% to 50% on paid ads. I thought a good show-up rate would be around 60% to 70% for a webinar. Hey, Doubting Debbie, thanks for asking the question. The 30-40% show-up rates I just mentioned are for co-audiences which we have brought into the webinar using ads, which is considered very good. The 60-70% show-up rates that you have mentioned are usually for warm audiences that are on an existing email list that has been nurtured over time, so I hope that clarifies things for you. There you have it. The 3 things to avoid doing so that your webinars will be more successful in 2024. To recap, here are the 3 things you want to avoid doing this year. 1. You want to avoid relying on gut instinct and rely on data instead. You want to avoid asking people to sign up before you provide value. And 3, you want to avoid not having a well-planned marketing funnel. If you can do these 3 things, I promise you will get a much better ROI from your webinars this year. In the next solo episode, I'm going to break down a marketing campaign where we help the new client get multiple 6 figures in sales at his first webinar that we marketed for him. So make sure you tune in for next week's solo episode.